Hello, I am Natalie, and I am a full-time potter based out of Chicago. And today I'm going to share with you how much it costs to run a business like I do. So I'm going to break down all of my expenses in each of their categories, starting from the biggest all the way down to the smallest. And in the end, I will tell you what the final number is. A couple caveats before we get started. These are just my numbers. There are a million ways to run an art/ceramics business, and all of those different ways will affect how much you spend on it. So you may choose to have assistants, you may choose not to. It just kind of depends. You might be a high producing potter, so you go through a ton of clay and do more simple designs, but each of your pieces sell for a little bit less expensive. Or you might be someone who's a little bit more like me, where I sell less pieces that are more expensive, but they're really intricate. All of that will affect what you spend. So anyway, there's more than one right way. All of our numbers are different. And also, you won't be spending this when you first start out. I am about 4 years in, and it's changed and grown as my business has grown. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, I have 10 categories to share with you, and I'm not including everything in this list, but pretty much everything. So I'm not including stuff like my phone bill, continue education, per diem for when I have to be out of town. So I'm not including all of my like tax exempt categories in this. I'm just including the broadest and most basic ones. Number one, and ranking in at my most expensive expense, was my assistant. And I spent $7,700 on this extra help in the studio, which comes into about 22.7% of my total number. This is the best money spent. My assistant is actually just one of my best friends from college, and she rocks. And though this is an expensive thing to opt into as a ceramicist, for me, it is so worth it. So she does everything that doesn't require my creative input. So she will mix glazes for me. She'll tidy up the studio. Most of my illustrations stay unglazed, so they need to be waxed. She does all of that, which ultimately allows me to spend more time at the wheel and painting pieces, which I feel is the best use of my time. And having her help me with all of the things that I don't really need to be doing allows me to make more pieces. So this is such a good investment. I think bringing Kiana in to help around the studio has actually increased our revenue. So it's a really good expense. And also, it's just fun to have a friend in the studio and keep me company, because this can be a really lonely job. All right, number two is my actual studio fees. And this comes out to $7,010, which is 20.7% of the total number. There's a garbage truck. Rip. This is actually pretty low for the big, gorgeous space that I have. And also, this is going to go up a lot in the coming years. So this number is going to either change because my rent's going to go way up, or I'm going to have to leave. So for now, that's what it is. My third category is materials. So these I think of as like the consumables of the studio. So things that you buy and buy again. It's different than studio equipment. So this is like clay, glaze, underglaze. I think I put brushes in here because, let's face it, those are kind of consumables. So the materials category comes out to $6,933, which is 20.4%. Nothing you can do about this. You need clay to make mugs. But this one, if you're just starting out, this one is pretty directly correlated with your revenue. So the more pieces that I make, the higher my materials cost is, but the more pieces I make, the more income I have. So this one is what it is. You know what I mean? Gotta spend money to make money. Okay, in my next category, which I think will surprise people because I only did 2 art fairs last year, but my fourth largest category is actually art fair fees. And that comes out to $3,985, which is 11.7% of the total number. That's pretty high for just 2 fairs, but that includes application fees, booth fees, and then I also did some painting competitions too. So that was like $50 of an entrance fee and stuff like that. That's a lot for essentially 2 art fairs. But the art fairs that I do are the Ann Arbor Art Fair in the summer and the One of a Kind show in Chicago in December. And the One of a Kind show in Chicago, the booth fee alone is like $3,000, which is a lot of money. But it's a fair that I love. I do really well at it. I love getting to chat with people at it. So yeah, that's a really expensive one, but it's in the Merchandise Mart downtown and it's a union show. So you get blank walls. You don't have to bring a tent or anything. They unload your car. They bring it all up. They put it in your booth. So it's a really well organized show and it's really well attended. So that's pretty much 95% of that category. But the other one is the Ann Arbor Art Fair, and I'm not really sure how much it was last year or how much it's going to be this year. I want to say it's between like 100 and 800. I don't know. I'm going to double check that. So yeah, I don't need to do art shows. I could just do online drops, but I really enjoy getting to chat with everyone in person. And I find it really motivating to see all of my work together and displayed. And also I don't trust the algorithm. So I'm going to keep doing some art shows. I used to do like 10 a year and now I only do 2, but I kept the expensive ones. All right, next category is shipping, and that comes out to $3,447, which is 10.2%. This one is mostly covered by customers paying shipping costs, but I also incur some of those fees as well. So it's kind of hard to tell how much is covered by the consumer and how much I cover. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but the thing is I'm just not gonna. And also that's a necessary expense, you know. You got to get the pots to people. What are you going to do? Okay, this next category is the one that I hate the most. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. And that is packaging supplies. And last year that rang into $1,435, which is 4.2% of my expenses. I don't know why it bothers me so much. It just does. It just feels so shitty to spend money on like boxes. But again, like you have to do it. What? I don't know why it bothers me. But it does. But I also package exclusively with non-plastic materials. So all cardboard and paper, anything that's recyclable. And that's really important to me. And so, yeah, that's how much I spend on that. I typically don't have very much breakage. I think I have like a 1% breakage rate. Less, much less, actually, probably like 0.5%. So pretty good. Anyway, that's that. After that, I pay an accountant, which comes out to $1,175 every year. And she does my business taxes and my personal taxes. And I'm a really anxious person when it comes to that stuff. So it's really important to me to feel good and on top of things and have a professional do them. So I have complicated taxes and I live in a city. That's how much that costs. And she's awesome and I really like her. All right, next category is marketing and displays. And that comes out to $1,057. So this is just things like my thank you cards for orders, business cards, any new shelves I bought for the fairs, frames for plein air competitions. Yeah, it's probably mostly business cards and thank you cards, if we're being honest. And a chunk of that is these blue shelves that I made this year, which I made out of oak, and I love them. I think they're so cute. All right, we're almost done. Next category is studio equipment, and that comes out to $888. So 2.6%. And this is stuff like stools for the studio. I bought new stools for the studio this year so I could do more workshops. Buckets, tools that I need in the studio. These like bins. I made some wet boxes or damp boxes this year. Stuff like that, like things that will be reused year over year over year. This was pretty low this year because I did not have to, almost half of this category is new elements for my kiln. Those are pretty expensive. I think they're around like 400-ish bucks. And I replace those every like year or so. This category is not that high because I didn't have to buy a wheel or kiln or anything this year. Last year my wheel broke and I had to like overnight a new wheel because I was in the middle of a fair prep. And so that was a large expense, but not too bad. All right, 2 more categories. Next category is travel and parking, which came out to $189. This is low because I don't own the car that I use to get to fairs, so I can't write off mileage or anything like that. So really this is just parking. Parking at One of a Kind and parking at Ann Arbor. Kind of high for just those things. But parking at Ann Arbor is like $30 a day. Last category is my website fees. And this came out to $107. That is definitely less than it actually is. But when I do drops, I think it just gets like taken out of what I get paid for the drops. So this is actually probably a lot higher because I think I pay like 30 or $40 a month to be on Shopify. That is it. That is all of my expenses. And that comes out to $33,930. That's a lot. But yeah, the purpose of this is I think there are a lot of people who come up to me and say that they really want to start a ceramics business. And I think it's really helpful to just have a little bit of a peek under the hood of understanding how much you need to be bringing in every month. Just to cover basic operating costs. Of course, when you're first starting out, these can be a lot lower. You can have a smaller studio. You can work out of your home. You don't have to have an assistant. When you're first starting out, your materials costs won't be too high. But yeah, I hope this is helpful to see a little bit of a peek behind it. Let me know if this is what you expected and if it's a little bit higher or a little bit lower or if I'm way off what you expected. Anyway, that is it. I hope you liked the video. If you wouldn't mind commenting the category that was most surprising to you in the comments, that's really great for engagement and I'm just starting out, so I would love you for that. Liking the video and subscribing because I'm really enjoying making these videos and I'd love to keep doing it for you guys. Anyway, that's it. I hope you have a good day. Bye.